This is the top 10 things you should look for before you book an Airbnb apartment rental. Now, I've stayed in all kinds of Airbnb apartments in all different countries and cities, and I've stayed in really expensive ones, as much as $500 a night houses that were horrible, that looked like the people just left 5 minutes before we got there, and all their food was in the refrigerator, and their medicines were all over the place, and the air conditioning didn't work, to apartments as cheap as $30 a night or so that were perfectly fine. Generally, though, I stay in lower end apartments if I can find them, as long as I'm not sharing an apartment with anybody. The apartment is all to myself. So, whether it's a low end or high end apartment, there's still a certain amount of items that you should look for to give you a clue how well this apartment is going to be for you. And it makes a big difference. It could be the difference between having a good vacation and really screwing up and making it a horrible vacation for you. So let's get started. The number 10 thing that I always look for first, and this is usually a deal breaker, is the floor it's on. Now, you may not think this is a big deal, but I didn't either until I stayed in an apartment in Madrid one summer, and it was on the fourth floor, even though they call it the third floor. So some countries, the first floor is considered not the street level, but one flight of stairs up. So even though they may call it the third floor, you're really on the fourth floor, and you have to go up uh, four flights of stairs. This listing that I stayed at in Airbnb didn't even mention what floor it was on, or that it didn't have an elevator. And for me, although it wasn't a problem ultimately, I could see how it could be for some people if they have a lot of luggage, or if they're not able to handle stairs well, or if it's really hot. In this case, Madrid was something like over 100 degrees every day, sometimes as high as 105 degrees. So for a lot of people, this could be a huge deal breaker. So that's the one thing that I look for first before I even consider the other options. So let's look in this listing here, which just happens to also be in Madrid. Looks like a perfectly nice apartment, $69 a night in May. But down here in the description, in the reviews, it says, in addition, the apartment was in a fifth without an elevator, which is not specified in the description. Okay, a fifth floor means you have to go up 5 flights of stairs in Madrid. Now, if you consider that it's going to be hot and you're carrying luggage, this is not good for most people. And most people, if they knew this ahead of time, would not book this apartment. The fact that this person leaves this out of the listing is very dishonest and very shady, I would say. So just for that, I wouldn't trust this listing at all, or any of these apartments that this person has for rent. Number 9 is air conditioning and or heating. Depending on where you go and what time of year it is, one of those may be more important than the other, or they both may be important at some point in time. One thing to look for in the pictures, because the description may say that the apartment has air conditioning, but you have to kind of be a detective and look in the pictures to see where the air conditioner or heating unit is, because a lot of times there may be an air conditioner, but it may not be in the room that you want it to be. For instance, look at this place in Madrid. So here is an air conditioner over here, right? Okay, so yeah, it has an air conditioner. However, where is it? It's in the living room. And here in the bedroom, there is no air conditioner. Okay, so you have to really look this out and see where it is and if this is going to be a problem for you. A matter of fact, in this listing, somebody wrote that the air conditioner was not in the bedroom but in the living room instead. So here you see the review says there was no blanket on the bed and the AC is only in the living room. This could be a huge problem if you're trying to sleep in 100-degree weather in Madrid in the middle of the summer. The number 8 thing is a real bed. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean a bed that's not a sofa bed or a futon or something like that. So look at this listing here in Warsaw, and you see that bed, and it looks like a real bed, right? But let's take a look at the reviews. So here the review says, it is smaller than it looks in the pictures. The bed is a sofa and we found hair in the shower drain. This is common in smaller apartments where the couch doubles as a bed, but realistically, those couches or those futons are really not as comfortable as a bed. Sometimes they're actually pretty uncomfortable. And so for them not to show this in the picture as the couch becoming a bed or say it in the description, it's also being kind of dishonest, I would say. Number 7 is the layout. And what I mean by that is getting an idea of where the bed is in relation to the rest of the apartment. Is the bed in a separate room? Does it have its own door on it? Or is it just an opening or separated by a curtain or something like that? And here's kind of an extreme example of this. Look at this listing here. It says it's the entire apartment, 6 guests, 1 bedroom, 6 beds, and 1 bath. Now, I don't know how they're fitting 6 beds into this apartment, so let's take a look. So here is the apartment. Here's a couch. Okay, it looks kind of to be a studio, really. There's the kitchen, some closets. Now here's a bunk bed. I don't know where this came from, right? You don't see it in the other pictures. Some storage, the AC, kitchen. All right, now here's the bunk bed again. Take a look at that closely. Where did that come from? So there's the couch again. There's the bed in the background there, the black and white stripes. And here's the kitchen, and here's the kitchen table. So where are these 6 beds and the 6 people and the 1 bedroom that they're talking about? All I see is some light, curtain or something separating the bed from the little kitchen, dining room, living room area, right? So you really have to kind of be a detective and figure out what's going on here, okay? So looking at more pictures, here's the TV next to the couch, right? Here's the TV again. Okay, so here's the bunk bed, here's the TV. So what they're saying is this couch turns into a bunk bed. So this is what they consider 2 beds right here, okay? So technically, I guess they're right? That's 2 beds. Where's the other 3 beds that they're saying that this place has? So this right here, I'm guessing is the other bed, right? So let's see how that looks when it's open. So there's the regular bed. Okay, so this is when that 3rd bed slides out from under this main bed here. So you have 1 bed, 2 beds, and the bunk beds. So that, to me, that's 4. I don't know how these guys count 6, but maybe they're counting each of these beds as two somehow. I don't know. But either way, one, this is not a one bedroom apartment. And two, look at the layout of this. I mean, unless you're really don't care and you're some college kids that are just using this to sleep in while you're out all day or something like that. Most people, you're not getting three couples to come here and sleep like this. One bed's blocking the door and is in front of the kitchen sink, and the other's the bunk beds, that's the couch. I mean, this place would be really crammed if you really tried to fit 6 people in here. Number 6 is the kitchen. And so let's look at the same apartment here and see some pictures of the kitchen. And here, this bowl with the pasta sticking out and the cheese grater and some kitchen utensils. What you really want to see is that it looks like a kitchen that somebody would cook at in their own house. That means it has the amount of pots and pans you need. It has the amount of kitchen utensils, plates, cups, coffee maker, tea maker, olive oil, salt, pepper, that kind of thing. In this picture here, I get that they're trying to show that it's kind of a high-end kitchen or whatever, and so I don't see all the things I'm looking for, but I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt that they probably do have all the things that you would need because they have all those utensils there. And in this other picture, they have, a cutting board with some bread or whatever. But what I don't see is normal things like a dishwashing sponge and some dishwashing liquid. These kinds of things are important because if any of these things are missing, it's a hassle to have to figure out a list of the kitchen things you're going to need just for a few days to go out and buy them. A matter of fact, one place I stayed had 3 kind of pots, like pasta pots, but no frying pans to cook eggs. And the very next place I went to had 3 frying pans and no pasta pots to cook pasta. So you can never be sure what's going through the head of one of these people that's renting these apartments. Sometimes they just do the bare minimum to supply a kitchen with, extra stuff that they may have lying around. So you want to see that it's kind of looks like a lived-in kind of kitchen. It doesn't have to be like perfect or anything like that, but you want to see the soap, the sponge, the olive oil or cooking oil or salt, pepper, plates, cups, things like that to get an idea that it is stocked correctly. Number 5 is the washing machine, and in a lot of places in Europe especially, the washing machine is in the kitchen or the bathroom. And so here you see it right here in the kitchen under the sink, which is good. Washing machine is always good to have because different places have different kinds of cultures. So there are a lot of places that may not have laundromats around that you can go to easily. And in the Airbnb listing, it shows in the amenities, it says washing machine, but it says in the building free or for a fee or something. It's kind of confusing. I mean, there's a big difference between having a washing machine in the building and having a washing machine in the apartment that you're renting. So it's always good to verify. It's like a bonus that you have a washing machine in the apartment that you know about for sure. Number 4 is, does the apartment look lived in, and how much does it look lived in? What I'm trying to say is you don't want an apartment that looks like some rental company just put it together and without any thought of a person living there day to day. On the other hand, you don't want somebody that does live there all year long or most of the year that so much of their stuff is in the apartment that you can't even put your clothes in the closet or something along those lines. Like I said, I've been in apartments where the person's food was all in the refrigerator, all kinds of nasty leftovers, and their pictures were all over the place, and their drug prescriptions were all in the bathroom. I was also recently in an apartment where the girl lived there most of the year, and she had so much clothes that there wasn't actually any place to put your own clothes. You open up the wardrobe, and all the shelves and the hangers all had her clothes in there. So there's a fine line between it being well stocked as if somebody lives there and being completely overrun with somebody's stuff. Number three is the neighborhood. So how close is the transportation, meaning the metro, the buses, trams, whatever. Also stores, supermarkets, how many supermarkets, restaurants, bars, fast food, whatever. A way to figure this out is do a Google Maps search, a street level search, once you know the address or the general neighborhood. For instance, this Madrid apartment doesn't show you the exact address, it just shows you a circle, which is a pretty big circle. It's about a kilometer across, so it can be anywhere within this range, and that's a pretty far range. However, this is in the center of the city, so you're going to have those stores and trains probably within, I don't know, half a kilometer or so anywhere you are. In other places, though, that may not be the case. That's why you want to do a street level Google search so you actually see what the streets around there are like. You don't want to see that it's some deserted area or that there's no trains anywhere around or no buses, because then you could really be kind of stranded out there and it'll be really difficult to get in and out. So that is one thing you should really look for when you start narrowing down your choices. And number two is the policies. So that means the check-in and check-out. Okay, because sometimes they have some really crazy check-in and check-out times. So anything after 3 p.m. or so, I think, is a bit excessive. And any checkout before 10, 11 o'clock is pretty crazy also. Usually people are pretty flexible. They just put these times here just to kind of not get crazy people trying to tell them that they're going to show up at 6 in the morning or 3 o'clock, at night or something like that. But just make sure that it's within reason. And also another big thing is the cancellations. So you see here, you have free cancellation for 48 hours only, and after that, you lose 50% of your funds plus the service fee. And up to 1 week before your check-in, there's no refund. Now, the people that rent to you, they have a right to make their own cancellation policy rules, but it would be nice if those rules apply to them too, because if they cancel on you 7 days before you're supposed to check in, you're not going to double your money. They're not going to pay you. So it's only a one-way street with this. So if I'm looking at two apartments and one has a really good cancellation policy, full refund up to 2 days before or something like that, versus one that only refunds you after the first 48 hours of booking, I'm going to choose the one that has a better cancellation policy, just in the case that, who knows what's going to happen. So it's always better to have a more liberal cancellation policy if possible. And the number one thing to look for before booking an Airbnb apartment is the reviews. And I know it may be a pain in the ass because there might be a lot of them, but you'll learn a lot by reading the reviews, especially when you see the people saying the same thing over and over in the reviews. Because some people are pickier than others, and so what bothers one person may not bother another person. But if you see multiple people saying the same thing, like it's very noisy, or it's very smelly, or it's very dark, or the AC didn't work, or the Wi-Fi was slow, or something like that, the more people that say it in the reviews, the more you know that it's a real problem. It's not just one person being picky. And also, you take some of the reviews with a grain of salt. Like I said, some people are more picky than others, and you have to consider what the apartment is. I mean, if you're looking at $50 a night apartments, you can't expect to have 1,000 thread count bed sheets or something like that, you know. But you can learn a lot from the reviews, as well as the response from the owner of the apartment. So here you see Lizzie said the apartment is close but not a nice neighborhood. AC only in the living room, half a bottle of body wash, blah blah blah. You know, she wasn't too happy. Now the response wasn't bad. I didn't translate it here, but he just said, yeah, apartment's in the center of the city, very close to everything, blah blah blah. He didn't, start trying to call her names or something like that. If you see something like that, that's usually a sign that the owner is, argumentative or problematic, or just somebody you may not want to deal with. So that's really the best thing to get an overview of not only the pluses and minuses of the apartment, not from a biased source, meaning the person who's renting it, but actually multiple different people who talk about the pluses and the minuses more honestly. So this is probably the number one thing that would cinch it for me after reading multiple reviews on an apartment, on if it's a place that I should stay at or not. I hope this video was helpful in showing you what to look for before booking an Airbnb apartment. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.